Right, let's try this again after the little outage with my ISP. Thankfully, it wasn't that long. I actually just didn't notice it was back for a while because I'd mobile. Unfortunately, the mobile connection is not really fast enough. It's not fast enough, but I'm questioning. I mean, nowadays they're getting quite quick. I mean, the signal isn't that great here. Why I kind of default to thinking um, to think work would would. But anyway, let's get cracking. So, full disclosure, I did have a bit of a poke of the project while I was off camera, and we're going to deal with this warning. Well, it's not warning; it's info. Before I get into today's stuff, I'm going to reorganize today's stuff because I have to finish early because I have an appointment to go to. We have to finish a little early today. I'm going to reorganize most of what was planned today for tomorrow, which I hadn't got planned for yet. Wanted to see how far we get into the week. I want to deal with this. Warning. So there's reduced additional punctual light shadows resolution by 4. Make 19 shadow maps fit to 8 by 2048 shadow atlas. To avoid this, increase the shadow atlas size, or decrease the big shadow resolution, or reduce the shadow map. So, as we discussed previously, I am not an artist. So I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I am going to make a little bit of tweak. So, full disclosure, let's have a look at what I did off camera. I prefabbed the arena camera. The reason why will become apparent in a second. I took out the visual scripting line, just unused using in the enemy controller, and I baked the lighting. And that's it, essentially. So, other than that, I just had a poke about and decided what I'm going to do. I did some thinking. So, what I want to do, I don't want to go into fully optimizing this light. Like this big one at the top is actually driven by 4 um 4 spotlights. Remember now. Have a look. Go room area light. Yeah, I took them off this slide on the global directional light. Hey, simple, how you doing? Just relied on the global direction light, and we're going to make this an area light later. But you can see there's like each of these rooms currently has 5 spotlights, and the one spotlight in the middle here is intended to follow the player. So we have 4 players, which have 4 spotlights. So in theory, we'll have 8. And what this is doing is 8 per room, where we just have like a massive number of spotlights that are always on dynamic lights on the map. Now we know, if you look at the game, we only really see one room at a time, so these don't need on. Now, even when I've tuned things a bit, this light in the middle is going to follow the player, and it will be attached to the camera bot, one of the camera bots that's going around. So there won't be one per room. But there will be at least 4 per room, and that's if we don't put any decorative ones in. And what this is doing is it's forcing it to reduce the shadow resolution. It's going to make it look garbage. Now, I could just increase the shadow map resolution, but I don't want to get into tuning the art side of the project and the lighting too much. That's the domain of artists. But I am going to do one simple fix that will make this should improve this significantly while not requiring me to any quality settings. But I just want to prove myself the need for this or what the difference is. So I'm going to duplicate the bootstrap seat. I'm going to rip a load of stuff out and then delete it after. On it. So I rip basically every room out except the main one. Okay, we can play that. Would you like to add it to the build? No, I don't need to add it to the build, just for debugging. That's a nice touch that it actually me of that. So right, I'm not getting the Shadow Atlas resolution warning here because I just don't have that many lights anymore. If I look, what occurs to me is like when I want to kill most of these off. Let's hold her downstairs. I'll go and get it in a minute. I want to kill most of these off, and just so I can just focus on my shadow. And if I find where did I put? That's the area lights. That's the fixed spotlights. Right, so if we're going to stand under one of the fixed spotlights, see, I've got a little bit of a shadow, but because it's mostly high up, like even though it's actually quite high detail, even though it's actually set to quite high detail, you don't really see it. Whereas if you see this one, because it projects the entire silhouette of the character, you see a lot more detail. What we could probably get away with doing is reducing the detail slot on this spotlight. At the moment, it's got high resolution shadow. If I go low resolution, high resolution, I don't even see the difference. Maybe I'm on the wrong spotlight. Let's do it on all of them. Make sure I happen. 1, 2, 4. Waiting for the light. Okay, low resolution. Right, so now you see I've got this sort of fuzzball instead. I probably don't want it that low. Go medium. Right, so with the angle it's at, medium, I think if I go between medium and high, massively, bear in mind I'm zoomed in as well at the drastic. And I think could handle lower if we. Let's see if we can get rid of the. What you been up to today, Simple? Working on your game again? Hello, cat. Right, so I'm gonna come out of the Bootstrap 1 scene. I'm gonna go back to Bootstrap. At the moment, really, this is just my working scene. And I prefabbed the arena camera because I'm going to add something to it. I'm going to add a 3D object sphere. And this is my lighting trigger. I'm going to add got the sphere collider. Let's have a look. I'm going to move this to a layer. I'm going to add a layer. I'm going to change it to auto lighting. Layer to lighting. 2 layers. Auto lighting. Everything except auto. And now I'm going to give it a radius that is big enough. So I'm putting this on the arena camera, and the reason I'm putting it on the arena camera because you're not necessarily. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this sphere so that when a light enters it, it turns on, and when a light exits it, it turns off. And this, I don't need a renderer for the primitive. Make it a trigger because it does collision. The reason I put it in its own layer is I want to add a component that only checks for something on that layer so that we don't end up creating lots of different physics events. So my auto lighting layer is only going to interact with the auto lighting layer. Like, this is just purely because I don't want any events at all. I don't want it creating additional overhead. Beyond the very, very simple, we have triggered an event as it enters. Right. That is 0. Well, it's probably not big enough. Let me go back to the arena and select it. I didn't save theme when I replaced it with a prefab. So let's replace that. Now I want it to be big enough that it encompasses the scene. Oh, we can actually probably offset this if we offset this, because we know really it needs to be the camera's focus. We could offset this by sort of. How does that go in the wrong direction? Been rotated. It has been rotated. Let's open it without the scene context. So, it will be, even without the scene context, it's still default rotated. Okay. So we want Z, or we can offset the center there in forward Z by probably half the radius, but the radius wasn't big enough, right? So if I come back out, look at the scene, arena camera, what we want is to encapsulate all of the room that the player is currently in, and the rooms, at least a good chunk of the neighboring room. So if I select this, I'll do it directly on 30 radius. And the reason we're doing that is because lights in the neighboring rooms can and probably should overflow into the current scene, and I'm being very broad with this, not making it intelligent. I want to turn off a chunk of the lights that are further away to save me some Shadow Atlas space. We will fine tune later. This is meant to be quite broad. Right, and it's height usually 20, so I probably want to set it Z offset to 20. Places it about on the ground. Or should it be on the ground? Because lights are kind of high up. See, this is why I'm going to do it. We'll do it half. And it's not necessarily going to be like that. This is not intelligent in any way, right? And it should be smarter positioning. Should have some intelligent detection. We could probably make a 2-layer system where we've got definitely off and then smart detect. But I don't want to make this too complicated. So auto light. Yeah. But we are Play for Freedom, assets, scripts. And we're going to want another script. I'm going to save this scene and I'm going to apply the changes to the prefab, and I'm going to save the scene. And we're going to go to arena lighting, spotlight, find the spotlight, add component, auto light, add, ready. There we go, auto light. And in auto light, we're going to do serialize field. Okay, Visual Studio is still broken. Light. You know, I don't need to serialize this. We can just on awake. I'm gonna get rid of all this. Don't need it. Awake. And we'll do light get component light. And public void turn off equals light dot enabled equals false. To public. Oh, I think the autocomplete turn on. It actually got it correct. Come on, autocomplete. It's not that hard. What do you mean ball? I tried reinstalling some of the Visual Studio stuff this morning while I was waiting for internet to try and fix the dodgy autocomplete, and just no. It's just 2026 is just terrible. So light dot enabled equals true with a space, please, and then we'll put one other public void toggle. We don't need a boolean. Light dot enabled equals not light dot enabled. Simple enough. I like how it's showing me the require component. I mean, we should. It's good practice. Type up. Require component. Type of light. I think that's the formatting. So if we add the auto light script to anything, it will automatically add a light. I'm not sure how that works with the other types of light, if they're inherited or they're... I'm not sure. Spot directional point. I think settings are all just light, right? Yeah, it looks like it. So auto light is going to do public void off, on, perfect, and toggle. I'm not anticipating using the toggle, but I thought I might as well put it there. So we're going to do on collision, no, on trigger, enter, and we're going to do void on trigger exit. Now, do we add... I'm trying to think if we can skip the get component. I don't think we can. If other dot try get component light out light, we'll just call it L. Then L dot, so when it's on trigger enter, it's turn on. Not light, it's auto light. And we'll do auto light, call it AL dot turn on. And then we'll do, I'm just going to copy that line, a little bit clean up, and standardize our method. Okay, and autolight dot turn off. And I'm going to have to add a collider to the light. We should add that to auto light. Require component type of collider. If that auto adds it when it compiles. Or it'll only, yeah, it'll only deal with it. Okay, only deals with it. So it should complain at me now, right? Because, yeah, script auto light on game mode spotlight has a missing required component. What's the simplest collider? Because this actually doesn't. I think the math is actually simpler on a box. Or a sphere. The sphere is just check distance from. I need to, and I should probably double check that, but so is trigger, and we set the layer to. The radius on this one doesn't really matter, so it can be really tiny. Like it just needs to be big enough to be detected. So I think that'll do it. Let's change monitors and let's see what we get. Hang on. Oh, on awake. On awake, they should trigger the on trigger enter. Which means they should. So we need to light dot enabled equals, although we just call. I'm just going to call turn off rather than writing it out again, because if we ever extend turn off to have additional validation, it means we're using the same function. So in awake, we turn the light off. If I do game, we now don't get the light. So if I now host, player enters. Oh, it's not the player, it's the camera. And the camera already exists. So why are we not triggering the on trigger enter? Oh, because it needs a collider to touch the trigger. And I made them both triggers. Arena lighting, spotlight, slider, sphere collider. Yeah, right. Let's try that again. Still nothing. Include layers, auto lighting, include layers, everything but auto lighting. And I'm gonna attach to Unity. And I'm gonna hit play. I want to make sure it's actually triggering. Let's have a quick look in the scene hierarchy. What we got? Camera doesn't seem to be. When I move that around, that should. It's not even. It's not even actually. Wait, what's? Yeah. Uh. We. What? I think if I rigid body for that. Didn't think so, but now question it. At least one of the objects needs. Let's add it to the. There's only one. Stop that. Arena camera, light trigger, body. Gonna be kinematics. It's gonna collision detection fine. Speed is fine. Don't want to use gravity. I'm just trying to. Layer, lighting, include layers, everything except auto lighting. Now let's see what happens. Apparently we need a rigid body on one of the objects. Right, that's at least triggered the event. So I'm going to hit play. And now we're getting the complaints about the light, the shadow resolution. But that actually looks like it's only triggered 3 of the lights in the. Well, that's kind of interesting. On lots of these, we're only triggering 3 of the lights in the scene. But that does work. And Unity's still getting mad about the Shadow Atlas, but we're at least capping the problem here. A little confused why we're regularly. I'm guessing one of the lights has got an accidental layer override or something. Open the spotlight back up and just double check that there's actually layers there. So I'm going to remove the auto light. That shouldn't have turned off. That ran its awake. Move component. Right. Looking at this, we're missing one of the lights, regardless. Why are we missing one of the lights? Every room except that one is missing one of the lights. Oh, and that one. Okay. Geometry, studio room, lighting. This one. Lighting. It's one of the fixed spotlights. That one. Don't have any overrides there. All the overrides there are just network object. Spotlight. Intensity is 40. Spotlight. On. Off. On. Why are we not getting anything? Off shadows. Keep the light. Bring it back. Okay. All I did is Control Z that. What happens in the game view? I'm going to move the camera. Room. Also has a light broken. Room. At all. Room 2. Overrides. At all. Yeah, it was on the wrong room. Room 3. Oh, let's hide the nav mesh. Hang on. Nav mesh. The light on the floor. That's very strange. I wonder if that's just a Unity like editor bug. I'm gonna restart Unity. Just delete the light and undo. Makes very little sense. But that shouldn't make any difference. Come on. Okay. This is kind of interesting. I'm just get geometry, Control Z. And interestingly, all of them are back. That's very weird. That's very weird. Right, I'm going to go back to the spotlight. We'll add the auto light back in, and I'll turn the vehicle lighter back on. That's very, very strange. Let's see what happens when we go back to the editor now. Right. It's almost like it was saving runtime data in the editor. I'm going to save that as is. Hit play. Should come without the lights on. No, it should come with the lights on because it's camera based. Lighting. I didn't save the rigid body that I attached. Body. Don't use gravity. Oh, we're back to half the lights being turned off. That's very strange. And even when I come back and forth like that, look, it when I toggle it back on and off, it doesn't actually turn them back on because it's not the thing I just made. It like they were missing already. Let's add the rigid body prefab for the camera, so I don't have to remember it. I'm going to reopen the bootstrap scene without saving. Right, lights are missing. Okay. Spotlight. It's real time. See what happens. Lighting. Generate. Okay, that's better. Right, game. Play. And this should have all the lights in the original position turned on. Right, and then nearby rooms are turned on. So Unity is still going to complain at us, but instead of having an exponentially increasing number of lights based on the number of rooms we've got, we only have lights on the nearby rooms. Not yet simple, but we're getting closer. Right, let's have a quick look how janky the Shadow Atlas looks with the reduction it's putting in now. I mean, that still looks reasonable to me. That one is obviously lower, but it still looks reasonable. We can kind of tell it's a step down, but I'm not getting into fully optimizing the lighting. Like, um, that's a separate job for another day. Right. So added auto light on off. You notice the light that is meant to focus on the player as well. I didn't include that in the auto light because in the final product it'll just follow the player. Like, I might remove it from the room and add it to I'm gonna leave it for I'll leave it for the moment, but later it's gonna get removed. It's gonna get removed. Right. So our next thing is, and I have a checklist for this. I need to go through some additional stuff that's missing for network spawning. So I knew when I set up there was something not right when I set up the enemies. So let's go play mode. No play mode scenario. Configure play mode scenarios. 2. Tag none. I have to open the other project and look at how to set this up. Play mode. Active scenario. Multiplayer. Play mode. Better one. Player 2. Activate. Not to. I don't think I'm not sure I actually need the other scenarios. Delete that. It's got its own editor. Right, let's play this. Let's see what we get. We get a separate player 2. I'm going to host game here. Copy the join code. I go to player 2 and join. You'll notice there are like the enemies follow player 2, but player 2 does not see the enemies. As well, if I fire, the bullet only exists on only exists locally. So if I have to side by side it, so right. So if I do this on the host as well, if I fire on here, I might say I can't even fire on here. We got a bunch of errors in the log. So we need to change the way we're instantiating objects and deal with some of these. Make sure we're instantiating things correctly. Kill that. I'm going to pop that out. Go back to full screen for the moment. So, what I did for this is I had ChatGPT draw me up an MVP to use as a checklist. Some of it's a little off the mark, but just gives me something to sort of copy from a template, just so I've got some reference. So I know I don't miss things. So first thing, enemy spawner needs to be a network behavior. And I think I've already done some of this as we've gone along. So get spawn position. Right. So if not is server, return. So now enemy spawners return null. Enemy spawners don't actually make the decision. They're just a functional sort of placement. But this is just an extra sort of error check. Now, GPT doesn't know I'm using layered for using layers for my spawner. So we'll do the same check for both objects, because this is what it thinks is the spawner. So we've got network behavior. So we want to do on network spawn. Sanity checks. Spawn enemy. Right. So here's where we have a problem. Because I don't have the on network spawn here. I just have awake. So it's already a network behavior. Let's just have a double check what variables we've got. Cache references is the spawners. Config. Right, so we're going to replace awake with public override void on network spawn. And we're going to do find references and sanity checks. I kind of want to break this up a bit because I don't want to. Because it's potentially going to run update. Oh, it can't run update. Okay, what I was about to say is it's going to run update before it runs on network spawn, but is host and is server will be null, will be false. So it will always exit this until on network spawn has completed. So we should be fine there. Start spawning. So we've got our fine references, we've got our sanity checks. So in on network spawn, then we spawn an enemy. Now, the sample says to do this in on network spawn, but in our case, we're not doing it on network spawn. We're doing it in update because it's going to continuously spawn an enemy. But we are gating it so that like on network spawn will have finished and we've got all that available. Hey, Desert Dog, how you doing, buddy? I like the dino dance. I like the dino dance. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. So, our next thing we want to do is we instantiate the enemy, and then we trigger it. So almost what I was already doing. So this is just selecting the enemy. We actually instantiate it here. Oh, that's interesting. If not, it's server return. I'm leaving the gate here. It's so we instantiate the enemy, and then we're going to do okay. Network object equal network object equals new enemy dot get component network object. I imagine pool management on this is going to be a nightmare when I switch to doing object pooling. And then we're going to do essentially what I was already doing. Okay. But I didn't store it. Am I still in the closet? I am speedrunning building 1, Desert Dog. I'm speedrunning building 1. I am planning to release it, but I imagine it takes well, let me swap screen as well. I imagine it takes a little long. I know it takes a little bit longer than 2 weeks to actually get approval through Steam. What I'm going to do is one evening this week, I'm going to go through the application process. I've not done it yet because I was considering registering a company first, but all of that is adding extra time, and I just want to get a Steam page up. So remember the closet? It's not a closet. It's a bedroom. It's just quite a small bedroom. This is my office. This is the UK bud. Our we don't have anywhere near as much space as you guys do. Okay, space comes at a massive premium here. Like places here are a little more cozy. Right, so all this is doing different to what I was already doing is just storing a reference, and we don't need it. Let me just double check. Do I need to keep the reference? No. So we'll do I'm just get rid of that. I don't need it. Like, a reference is a tiny amount of memory, but I don't need it. So why bother? So all I've really changed here is instead of doing it on awake, I'm waiting for the on network spawn to like do its thing. Okay, so figure the enemy, add a network object component to the prefab root. Let's just double check we've done that. Oh, hang on. I mean, I would love a much bigger bedroom or a much bigger workshop, Desert Dog, but it's not easy. Like even if I buy a more expensive house here, I won't get much more space until until you start hitting a much higher price point. I've looked a couple of times. Unless I go and live in a really terrible area, I'll have to pretty much double the value of my house to get any significant increase. Obviously, I'll get a little bit of an increase, but it's really hard to find somewhere with more space without spending a lot of extra money. Right, so it needs to have a network object. Add the prefab to the network manager's prefab list. I don't think this is actually relevant anymore, but I'm going to do it anyway. I can't add network prefab. Create. Why can't I add a net? Why can't I add the prefab? Network manager. All prefabs lists are uninitialized. You'll have to manually at runtime. All prefab lists selected. Oh, hang on. It's looking for the list. Add your prefab to the network manager's network prefabs list. Right. So Unity has very kindly, and I noticed this before, created a default prefabs, and it's adding any network object automatically for me, which is nice. I was trying to add the prefab rather than the list. Okay. Add a network transform. If its position or rotation must be synchronized, it should. Also, animation. See, it missed that bit because we're animating this, so we need to make sure we sync the animation. I mean, the room isn't a lot bigger than what you can see. How much space I've got? I got some appointment cards. They're not relevant. They're not a problem. They're all. See the mess and my collection of whiskey glasses. Sorry, whiskey bottles. So let me yank this out a bit. Right. So I have a sort of chunky, like big L-shaped desk here. I don't have enough camera slack to give you a better angle. So, and when I say chunky desk, this will hold 2 adults quite comfortably. It was built so that it could house a like 3/4 mattress eventually. And one of the things that I've done on it, and this is what it was designed for, is there was a point where I was how do I know it would hold 2 adults? I knew I was going to get that question. So when I built it, it's a little bit over engineered. Like, it doesn't look pretty because I have ADHD, and once it works, I'm on to the next thing. But the wood that it's the frame that it's built out of is like quite heavy duty, and I think I had a PC job once where I had to install 80 PCs, and I was working in this office, and with a little bit of room in. Basically, I've got a bigger room in the next room over, but I was mostly doing it in here because it was a matter of press next on 10 PCs, sit and wait. So what I was doing, like, I'm set up in here and I'm just doing other work while I'm doing it. And what I had a computer case, monitor balance on top, computer case, monitor balance on top, computer case, monitor balance on top. And I had like 10 of them. And each one of those is like 25 kilo. So, and 25 kilo, so I'd got 250 kilos worth of computers on the desk. That was why I built it so heavy duty. One of the reasons I built it so heavy duty, because I would quite often have some chunky hardware in here. The fact that it can hold two adults is accidental. But I also built it. The section you see over by the window is actually a little bit thinner because that's built to just be a desk. The section that's in front of me is actually a little bit wider. It's kind of hard to see, and I don't have enough camera slack to show it off a little bit better. But it's made to just over the width of one of the 3/4 length kids' beds. And the plan was, if I ever sell the house and I need to show this off, I do need to show this off as a third bedroom, is all I need to do is put a 3/4 length kids mattress in here and put a strip of wood along the edge of the desk to sort of hold everything in place a bit. Well, that's not even totally necessary unless it's a really young kid and you need something to stop them falling out. But I could essentially incredibly easily convert it to it'd take me a couple of hours just convert it into a kid's bedroom. It'd be trivial. And the sort of wooden benches you see there, they're actually sets of drawers that are on wheels that are made to be exactly the height to slide under the desk, so I can just move them around, or I can pull them out if I need extra workbench space. The wheels on them are also kind of sprung a little bit. So if I put weight on them, they'll then rest on their frame. So if I obviously wheels tend to be a bit usually you can't put weight on them, or there's a limited amount of weight you can put on them. But the frame itself can take a lot more weight. I'm phrasing that really badly. The frame of those drawers can take a lot more weight than the wheels, so they're sprung in a way. Whereas if you put any significant weight on them, they'll just rest on their own frame on the ground, and that way I can use them. I know I can just put basically anything up until the failure limit of the wood, and it'll work. But it's really flexible. If I leave these with the office when I sort of move house, whoever moves in has got a kid's bedroom with a bed already built in, a desk already built in, under desk storage already built in that's movable and flexible. So I figured that would be a good plan. It does kind of irritate me that I rushed it a bit and didn't do the surface finish to the quality that I would have liked. Because kind of in my head, I went, "Oh, okay, I'll come back to it." And I think nowadays I know full well I'm not coming back to it. That's not happening. Once all the stuff got put in the room, that's it. The room is done. Until it gets bad enough that I've got to rip a lot out and redo it. I am considering redoing the floor in here, so maybe maybe it'll get renovated. But we'll see. Right, so let me keep going through the checklist. I think the only missing thing then was the fact that the prefab list wasn't there. So I'm looking through the minimal enemy spawner example. That should be it. I think I'd actually already covered everything. Okay, let's actually hit play and we'll see what happens. While that thinks about its life choices and recompiles, I'm going to have a look at one of the messages. I've got a pop-up in I keep getting a pop-up of somebody that I haven't seen one of these messages for ages because I've just been off Twitch for so long. But you know, like when you're a small streamer and you just constantly get spammed with like, hey, I can help you grow. Like, and they vary the scam, but at the end of the day, it's just variation on the scam, right? We got to the point where I'm like, oh, I said hello when they just said hello initially. Come on, join game. Why are we not joining? Failed to start the network manager. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I've had to do this a couple of times when I try and restart and it's busy recompiling. I've had to sort of kill it a couple of times. Yeah, I'm at the point in the message where like they're like, "Oh, I've got a big streamer who'd really like to help you grow. If you could just give me your Discord name." Like, yeah, right. Do I look like I was born yesterday? Right, copy code. Ooh, wrong one. Failed to start the network manager. Okay, let's have a look why. Can I host a game? I can host a game. Leave game. I join that one. Failed to start the network manager. Okay. Let's have a quick look, see if we can work out this. Oh, that's a lovely, lovely error message. Cancellation token. So Unity failed to start the network manager. Let's see what we get. See what Google says. Null reference. No, that's not it. Check any objects in the scene with a network object network transfer. One may not be set up correctly as a network transfer without a network object. Well, let's check that. Because I am. Let's I'm going to duplicate the default reduced net read test network prefabs. Right now, if I'm going to go into this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to overriding intro. Remove basically everything except the enemy. Oh, I have two. Hang on. That's the character controller one. That's the problem. Okay. So let's try that. We'll change the assigned prefab list to test list. So before I didn't have any assigned. Now I've assigned it a list with just the enemy, because I'm wondering if it's something to do with the fact I haven't finished updating the other objects yet. I clicked the wrong thing. I clicked the wrong thing. Test prefab list. Why are we not allowing me to change? Fine. Test. Oh, does it have a name baked in? The main object name font should match the asset file name. Main object name 1. Huh? Let's just make a list from scratch. Create. Where's it going to be on here? Hang on, let me bring chat back up. Create network prefab list. Test prefab list. Right, so I can't change the is default. 8 1. Go to net manager. So I think the fact that it had something on it. Surely, if it's the default, it would have been using the default anyway, right? I'm gonna add a. I feel like I should add a longer delay for me getting into the game. Getting a pain, but we'll try that in a minute if we have a problem. Post game. Come on, copy, paste. Failed to start the network manager. Okay. Stop. Network manager. Remove that. Let's see what happens. See if we get the same problem. I mean, post. Copy code. Failed to create object locally. Network prefab could not be found. Is the prefab registered with the network manager? Failed to spawn network objects. Which object is that? Runtime spawn manager object. Network update loop. I would like drop this into Notepad and blow it up a little because old man eyes. Failed to create object locally. I'm wondering if putting in any language at all. Is there a language for logs? I don't remember. That'll do. Just create some sort of segregation. Network prefab failed to create object locally. Now, was that the... So what I'm trying to work out is that which object is that? Is the prefab registered? Well, they're all on the default prefab list. Or I thought they were. Let's do default enemy. Player is. Room template is. The studio room shouldn't be relevant because they spawn regardless. So they're not spawned on network. Logging contextual error server. Game object Unity netcode game object at blah blah blah. Network manager. Library package game object. Network manager, network object. Create object, serialized object, fastbuff, blah blah blah. Create object. I just want to know the object's name. I don't want to know its ID. Tell me its name. Runtime. Right, I'm going to finish going through the rest of the checklist I've got, and then we'll see. So, all the prefabs are actual project prefabs, not scene objects. Dynamically spawn network prefabs to be registered with the network manager, and they are, right? I'm going to explicitly configure network manager, add that default list, even though it's doing anything. Also go into the room template and add change the spawn delay to 10 seconds. I have a bit of time to actually toggle back and forth and spawn in. Okay, so for the enemy spawner, I've got everything that I'm supposed to need. Minimal multiplayer projectile. Right, so let's have a look at the projectile. That is one I'm spawning by script. So only read input for the local players. Oh yeah, this is about firing. Okay, so we need... Right, this is still a mono behavior, so net, cat, you're in the way. Network behavior. Okay. And then velocity check. We'll do void. Cat, come here. Put the camera down. Cat cam, the tradition. Right? Tradition. Good kitty. Right. So public override void on network spawn And we're going to move the starting of the velocity check into there. Then we're going to replace on disable with public override void on network despawn. I'm on the right monitor, yes. So intermediate checks, fire projectile. Now the game, the AI is telling me to put checks in to check if, for firing this. It's not firing it isn't handled here. Firing it is handled on the player, so we probably should double check if we've gated that. Oh, this is where we get complicated because I've got the layering with the character controller that definitely needs a rework. Player controller, character controller is a network behavior. Save that. So update only runs if is owner. Question is, should we run the rest of update? I'm actually not sure. But we've done the bit the important bit. So we block the update loop so we don't interpret inputs. I think that is actually going to sort of cause other problems, but we'll come back to refining that later. Here's where we get into things that I'm definitely missing here. Right, so NPC. We need to set up a remote procedure call. The question now on the sample, it's in the weapon. Can I put it in the weapon? Because I did layer this, right? So it calls the weapon. Now, where's my prefab? Prefab, weapons, weapon. The most basic of weapons. If I make this, have a look. Which screen am I on? Good. Right. So I've got the weapon. I could make this a network behavior. This gets fire called. I could convert that into the remote procedure call. So instead of fire, we call request fire RPC. So let's do RPC. We need to make this a network behavior as well. Network behavior means I add a network object script to it. Don't think I need any of the other network components. Definitely don't need a network rigid body. Yeah, I don't need them. Network object one. particularly because it's going to be used here. So now the cat's gone. So public void fire. Now in the player, we're already gating that, so it's only ever going to trigger it if we're the owner. So the owner can then go, right, so we do RPC, send to dot owner me. It's everyone but the server. This is actually, there's some interesting settings. I can see how we could use these to do some like network optimization. But send to server will exclude locally if invoked on the server. Okay. Dot server private void request via RPC. And then how do I convert this? If fire is less than request fire, so we want muzzle position and muzzle forward. And then we go to instantiate projectile prefab, which we've already got. I'm just trying to like run through remixing one set of code into another, and just making sure I don't miss anything. Character dot notify weapon fire performed. So this is all managing can I fire. And then this is actually doing the firing. So we want to do request fire RPC. Now in the sample, we provide it with position and forward. Do I need to provide it with position and forward? I think I probably should, because this is going to go to the server and it'll mean it fires from the same place on every server. So even if the model is slightly out, it'll fire from where the player that fired it is, if there's a little bit of desync, which will mean it should resolve reasonably reliably. I think that's probably what we. So spawn position and direction. So we want spawn position and direction like that, which means we want bullet spawn dot position and direction. We don't want. Do we want direction? Oh, that's interesting because I was just using. I'm not getting direction. I wasn't even considering direction. I was just gun forward. So it would be with this weapon. It would just be transform dot forward, and then inside the actual spawn. First, we've got the projectile prefab, which is fine. Then we've got spawn position. Then we've got Saturnian dot look rotation direction. That's basically so what this should do is this is actually ran on the server, not on the client. So we get the position and the direction on the client side, send the request to fire to the server. Now, if I didn't send those and the client disagreed with where it was, it would fire from a different position, which could mean they miss. And that's going to suck, right? So now our projectile, we need to make sure the projectile is a network, has a network object on it. Just let me quickly pull up the prefab for the projectile. Bullet does not have one. Would you like to add one? Yes. Yes, I would like to add a network. Projectile. The projectile script is already a network behavior, right? Excellent. So once we've done fire projectile, so we want to, once we've instantiated it, we're going to do new projectile dot. Let's be safe about this. If new projectile, I upset autocomplete there. Dot try get component network object out network object no one, just like we did with the enemy. So we'll no dot spawn. Normally I don't like giving short names like this, but when it's single line context like this and it literally is just before no, not going to apply anywhere beyond that, it's fine. So then we get the rigid body, new projectile dot fire projectile. And that is just rigid body add force. That's fine. So that should, I think, cover that. Client should request that the server fires a projectile. Yeah, okay. Older netcode game originally obscene said look like blah blah blah. That's not relevant. In this case, call request fire server. Do not use both RPC. Yeah, obviously don't use the old version of the code and the new version of the code. I know it has to say these basic things for basic people. Right. Server authoritative projectile. On network spawn. Do we have an on network spawn? We do. We start the velocity check. It's not just a velocity check anymore. We renamed it intermittent checks routine. And I put a typo in that and didn't check it because I get too excited. Right. If remaining lifetime equals lifetime, if is server. Okay, so it's update loop. So we don't want to do this on the client. We want, so we're starting it here. and we're doing if not is server yield goddamn break. What that's going to do is it's on everything but the server. We just exit the coroutine immediately, and we'll let the server deal with it. So we've got the intermittent checks. Now this is where it's quite beneficial when I got when I've put all these in already, so I don't need to worry about any disposing or like when I'm trying to stop the coroutine. It's already handled. So we need to manage the remaining lifetime, and we don't call destroy. This is important. We call network object.despawn. That is the wrong color. Why are you the wrong color? Do we need to destroy it? There's no destroy anywhere. This allows netcode to remove the corresponding object. Okay, so I thought we were going to have to put that in for the enemy, but I skipped over that. Where did I put it for the enemy? Because the enemy is due to really bad coding. When it dies, it is somewhere in actions on die ended. Oh god, entire solution. No, just current document. On die ended. Yes, just search it again. Thank you. Where is it? Request die. Right, so request die does this. So we want network object dot despawn. Does this allow an overload with a delay like destroy does? It doesn't. Network object dot despawn. Now with the projectile, we don't specify it because it just despawns the game object. Let's just check if we've got any overloads for this. Despawn. Start on. Yeah, we don't have overloads. That's going to be a problem. So we're going to do enumerator delayed despawn. Yield return new wait 4 seconds 2, and then we'll do network object.despawn, and then we'll replace that to do evil magic number. I'm trying to not make too many changes to the character controller because I'm going to convert it to a package and then like re-import it later. So rather than refactoring it here, we just bodge it because I'll have to make more changes after I re-import it, and I'm trying to just doing my best to like avoid that. Start coroutine delayed despawn. Okay, so that essentially achieves the 2-second delay, but uses despawn. Okay. What's next on the checklist? This allows minimal network enemy movement. Enemy AI should generally run only on the server. A network transform sends a resulting transform to clients. Okay, so enemy. This is a matter of. I don't think. I'm just trying to think what I actually added for the enemy in terms of actual logic, or whether I'm still just using the character controller's template. Prefabs, enemy controller. Let's open that and see what we get. That's right. I did write one specially. So my problem with this is it doesn't just deal with transform. Although void start is base.start, void fixed update, base.fixed update. Now, the basic character controller skips that. If not is server. Turn. Okay, so that's update and fixed update. So align agent to nav mesh height. This is unnecessary. We let the server do this. If not is server is server. It's because it's a coroutine. We want yield break. Okay, and I'm going to want that in a couple of places. If not, is server. That one's fine. We don't want the update loop running. Return. On network spawn, fine. On network despawn's fine. Repath loop is. We don't want that running unless we're on the server. Repath immediate, that's fine. That's called set move input. Where's that called from? Line 75. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Late update. We don't want that running. Return. If not, agent blah, 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 has reached it. Okay, that looks fine. Enemy movement. So, just to double check, we need a network transform on the enemy. We need a network transform. Player weapon muzzle network object should normally be on the root object of the network prefab. Ooh, common calls of host only objects. The code calls. Hey Bear, how you doing? Never told you. I've been doing this stuff for years, bud. Years. But yes, I'm making a game. I'm on the wrong screen at the moment as well. Oh no, I'm not. I'm on the right one. I'm on the right one. I'm just going through a checklist because some of the networking stuff is not working. Spawn is not being called on the server. That's fine. Enemy or projectile prefab is missing. Okay, so what if I have a network object that has a child network object? Object exists remotely but has no code. Is it a problem to have a network object as a child of another network object? Oh, okay, this is going to get weird. Let's just try it and then we'll see. It's going. The working title is "Play for Freedom," although I'm not really. I'm not really sure what I want to call it. I kind of when I knocked what I generally do when I knock up a game design document is I'll just put a working title because you can agonize over the name for ages, and then we go, okay, this is the working title. We will figure the real title out if something comes up during development. So, have you played Super Smash TV for a start? Right, let's hope this works. I've got some nested objects that we probably have to change the way some things work. But we'll deal with that in a second. Host, copy join code. Network behavior must be spawned before calling this method. Go on, join the game. Join the game, please. Try in. It's kind of like deferred on. Kind of like it's partially connected because it's getting messages. Okay, that's fun. It's spawned player 2 and it stopped the enemies. And I have a null reference exception. This is fun. Null reference exception. That's just internal. Okay, we'll figure that out in a minute. Give me a sec. I'm gonna go and grab a controller, and I'm gonna see if I can get it to work in single player because it usually plays with controller. I left it downstairs. Give me a couple of minutes because I also need to grab a fresh coffee, and I will show you it playing. But if you're familiar with Super Smash TV, like I'm drawing a little bit of inspiration there. The game is the principle. The principle of the game is the like hyper capitalism has got to the point where where it's like basically everybody's in debt, but it's become illegal to be in debt, and you get assigned a rich person to govern you until you're out of debt. And for most people, the only way to get out of debt is to play a death game. It's like your last hope. And this is the TV show. Like, so it's a mockery essentially. So it draws a little bit of inspiration from like old twin stick shooters like Smash TV. Obviously, there's nothing directly in here, but if you're familiar with that sort of game, it'll look fairly familiar. Right, like I say, give me 2 minutes, and I need to go and grab a controller, fill my coffee mug. Be right back.
Well,
Oh no. No! No! Not now! No!
dang it. Is it in the middle of the base again?
Yeah, with half empty belts. I didn't even see the nuke. Oh no! God damn it, guys! Oh my god, look at the screen! My God.
Run.
There's no running. There's no running. I have broken leg. Somebody make sure you clip this, guys, please. Oh no. Oh God. There's just too much fire to render now. I'm at 3 FPS.
Well.
Oh no. No, no! Not now! No!
Dang it. Is that in the middle of the base again?
Yeah, with half-empty belts. I didn't even see the nuke. Oh no! God damn it, guys! Oh my God, look at the screen! My God!
Run.
There's no running. There's no running. I have broken leg. Somebody make sure you clip this, guys, please. Oh no. Oh God. There's just too much fire to render now. I'm at 3 FPS.
Well.
Oh no. No, no! Not now! No!
Dang it. Is that in the middle of the base again?
Yeah, with half-empty belts. I didn't even see the nuke. Oh no! God damn it, guys! Oh my God, look at the screen! My God!
Run.
There's no running. There's no running. I have broken leg. Somebody make sure you clip this, guys, please. Oh no. Oh God. There's just too much fire to render now. I'm at 3 FPS.
Well.
Oh no. No, no! Not now! No!
Dang it. Is that in the middle of the base again?
Yeah, with half-empty belts. I didn't even see the nuke. Oh no! God damn it, guys! Oh my God, look at the screen! My God!
Run.
There's no running. There's no running. I have broken leg. Somebody make sure you clip this, guys, please. Oh no! Oh God! There's just too much fire to render now. I'm at 3 FPS.
Well.
Oh no. No, no! Not now! No!
Dang it. Is that in the middle of the base again?
Yeah, with half-empty belts. I didn't even see the nuke. Oh no! God damn it, guys! Oh my God, look at the screen! My God!
Run.
There's no running. There's no running. I have broken leg. Somebody make sure you clip this, guys, please. Oh no! Oh God! There's just too much fire to render now. I'm at 3 FPS.
Well.
Oh no. No, no! Not now! No!
Dang it. Is that in the middle of the base again?
Yeah, with half-empty belts. I didn't even see the nuke. Oh no! God damn it, guys! Oh my God, look at the screen! My God.
Run.
There's no running. There's no running. I have a broken leg. Somebody make sure you clip this, guys, please. Oh, no. Oh, God. There's just too much fire to render now. I'm at 3 FPS.
Well.
Oh, no. No, no. Not now. No.
Dang it. Is it in the middle of the base again?
Yeah, with half empty belts. I didn't even see the nuke. Oh, no. God damn it, guys. Oh my God, look at the screen. My God.
Run.
There's no running. There's no running. I have a broken leg. Somebody make sure you clip this, guys, please. Oh, no. Oh, God. There's just too much fire to render now. I'm at 3 FPS.
Well.
Oh, no. No, no. Not now. No.
Dang it. Is it in the middle of the base again?
Right, I'm back and I have the controller. I'm just standing up because I'm going to stretch my legs for a minute while I have a think about this. So I'm apparently nesting network objects inside other network objects is a problem. I can see why that would be, because I would imagine they're both going to attempt to sync, not necessarily in the right order. That can create problems. So only the root prefab have a network object on it. Where I'm sending the RPC call is to be on the root. Maybe I can get subcomponents of the network. Not too sure. We'll figure that out. I'm going to very quickly try and reduce. This is broken more than it's fixed. Enemy isn't even spawning anymore. So I'm questioning what I should do is just move over to my MVP project, because I'm trying to apply the network logic in complex. So what I'm thinking I should maybe do is move back over to the MVP that I use for testing, set the network logic up, make sure it's working, make sure I've got a clear idea of what needs in and what needs to be set up in what way, then we can adapt that. That might be a smarter idea, rather than trying to just put a complex system into a complex system. Probably a better option. I think that might be, yeah, I think that's going to be a better idea. At the moment, we're getting problems. I'm going to try removing the network object first. Try removing the network object. And then go to the MVP. Okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, so our player holds a weapon. Well, all characters hold a weapon. So weapon should not be a network object. Going to weapon. And we're going to make that just a mono behavior. Can I still do the RPC send to server? Maybe. Let's just try that. Let's try that. What happens? Got to turn the controller on. Immediately null reference exception. Oh no, that was previous session. Enemy weapon is missing a network object. Yeah, but it shouldn't be a network object. Let's clear that and make sure I'm not. Is that because it has the remote procedure call? Let's remove that and see what happens. That's not going to work, but I just want to make sure it banishes the warning. Player weapon is missing the network object component and will be ignored. Why does that matter? Is that because I imported Unity netcode? We don't need that. Oh, do we need that? I'm going to just revert this to the point where we didn't have the RPC. Because I'm questioning why is Unity complaining that it needs it? Network behavior. Let's save that. Removing invalid prefab from network prefab registration. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it got added to the default list. Did. That one. Weapon. Player weapon. And weapon. Okay, so they're not needed, essentially. Let's just check that that's got us in a point where we can actually load the game again. I could load and play locally already. And I could load and have player 2 run around. Controller. Okay, so I can fire the weapon. I did put a longer. There's a problem with the projectiles despawning. Seems to be a problem with the enemies. They're just spawning and standing there. they seem to kind of react sometimes. Like they start moving when I do something, but they went down when I went down. They're kind of, they feel like they are responding to some event that I'm doing. But then definitely not responding correctly. Let's copy the code and let's see if we can load in as player 2. Okay, we can load in as player 2. Bullet clone attempting despawn before network object was spawned. So we need to review the bullet despawning. Notice the bullets on the host are just not spawning at all. Out for a second, see what happens on the client. Bullets are still not being heard. Okay. I mean, that's progress. Kinda. We've got it actually running again. Let's have another look over the projectile. On network despawn. It said receive log from client. Oh, received log from client. Attempted despawn before network object was spawned. Okay. Now, is dispose a projectile? Where else is that being called from? It's also being called here. So it's because there's a collision-based check as well. So return. I should make this player 2 and player 3 because it'd be so much easier for me to put them side by side, and I have the RAM for it. Because we're detached from the editor. I could just detach the game window, but anyway, Bear. Have you ever done any game dev? You familiar with Unity? Fetching package list offline. What do you mean offline? Oh, don't tell me I'm offline. I don't look like I'm offline. I don't look like I'm offline. I can see my face. I was just concerned I can't hear anything. I don't have my headset on. Stats. All happy. Okay. Maybe Unity being dumb. So clear. Play. This is going to start getting heavy now. Let's have a quick look at Task Manager. 88% memory. That's fine. We're at 28. We're only at 28 gigabytes. Plenty left. Okay. Host game. Copy code. Join game. Okay, we're still not spawning these. So let's have a look. They're spawned by the weapon. Which, because I undid, it's not actually spawning anymore. And I would quite like to see if it can handle the RPC method when it's not a when it's not a network behavior. Because it's called by another one, and it's not a network object anymore. Okay. Copy join code. Paste. Join game. Still nothing. Only server can spawn network objects. Okay, they're spawning. They're spawning. We just don't have the transform. Okay. Okay, that's progress. Right, so I did the RPC tag back in. So RPC send to dot server. Go. I really should not be spawning the extra. I really should just break the game window out. But I'm waiting extra time for an extra one to compile. Right. So, if I fires that way, right? And if I fire this one, only the server can spawn the network object. Okay. I told you to send it to server. I have instantiate. I have network object spawn. Definitely the bullet. Yeah. I'm going to kill player 3. Rather than being break out the game window. There we are. That's smarter. Okay. If I go Unity, there, and the actual game window there, that'll do. Now I can see both. So RPC, I am questioning if it just didn't compile because after I put the RPC.send to server, let's do send to host. Enter server. I'm just gonna. Well, only server can spawn the object. Really, it probably should be higher up the hierarchy, and the server should also be in charge of cooldowns. While I'm at it, let's have a look at. This gets in the way now. It's not docked. Let's have a look at the projectile because it wasn't. Its prefab wasn't. Like it was. Authority. The projectile doesn't have a network transform. Play. Game. Come on. Gotta get that faster. Paste. Coin. Coin. Failed to start. Duplicate hash. I can't control the hash. It's an inherited object. Has a duplicate. It doesn't have a duplicate hash. Enemy bullet and player bullet. Player bullet 299. Enemy bullet 64 blah blah blah. There's no duplicate hash there. Code. Fix it. There we go. Coin. Oh, that actually makes it harder to. As a duplicate. This gets a little irritating. I'm going to just restart Unity and see if it. To be fair, I remember a time when all software engineering was this much of a pain. Constantly having to rebuild a project. Open player 2. Please refrain from modifying packages while the virtual player is activating. Making changes during this time can lead to conflict or errors. Yeah, no shit. Come on. Post game. Okay. Copy the code. Right, we don't have the errors now. Join. Come on. Let me have this, please. Okay, it does it. Okay, we have it one directional propagation. I think both players were being moved. But we have one directional propagation. We have progress. Host. I'm going to host from this side because it's probably easier for me to see it the other way around. Copy. Paste. Join. Right. I can run around here. I can fire weapons. And it appears in both when I'm the host. Now let's do it the other way around. Now I'm doing it the other way around. It fires both. That means there's not correct ownership. Or I'm not gating the fire correctly. I could have sworn I gated the... So let's have a look at player controller. If is owner return. Or if we're not owner return. How? So somehow we're getting the incorrect ownership. Right. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to drop out of this. I'm going to open the MVP project. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the minimum viable product. Let's get this working in a template project. MVP. Let's just copy on the... Then what I'll do, I'll move those slowly towards what I need. So multiplayer, play mode, player. Now for this, I only had 2 players. Well, I only had 1 player. This was literally, can I get a session going? Let's bring up... on the Unity screen, that'll do. I'm going to be going back and forth a lot at the moment. There's not a lot I can do about that. So the player used the default inputs. It's a network object. It's a network behavior. Update is blocked if we're not owner. Clean this up a bit. I don't want the extra lines. So that's player. Now let's see how that actually behaves. Before I get too excited. Just make sure it does what it's meant to do. So host game. And I will copy the join code. Join game. Right, so I've got number 1 can move. So these behave. These do what they're meant to do. So let's also do mono behavior script enemy. Create mono behavior script. Create mono behavior script. That delay. Let's close the second player. I think it'll be a bit faster without it while I do this. So I'm going to delete that quicker. We're going to do create mono behavior fit enemy corner, create mono behavior script. It just automatically deselected it. Or not. Why? Project tile. So I'm going to do 3D object, capsule, enemy. Definitely a little behind. Okay. So enemy, I'm going to do 3D object, sphere, projectile. That is 5. Sphere collider, yes. And that, right. So capsule. I probably want to color these slightly. So let's create folder materials. Create material, simple. Create rendering, material variant, simple, red. Duplicate that. Green. Duplicate that. Blue. Duplicate that. Cyan, that'll do for the moment. Blue. Cyan, blue. No red, blue, and green. Blue. Red, no blue. And red, obviously. All red, no green. Great. Right. So the script that manages this MVP changes the color slightly, but I'm not worried too much about that. Enemy, we're going to want an enemy movement script. Multiplayer MVP, enemy movement. Yeah. Copying this from the template. Call it enemy. Enemy. Copy this. This will need a network object, but we'll cover that in a second. I'm going to tidy this up a bit so it's a little bit more readable. Oh, that looks horrific. I'm not changing any of the code. I'm just doing some white space cleanup. So we'll get to the actual code. Oh, that's horrible. In a second. But full disclosure, I am using AI for this. I'm having to clean it up a bit, but I'm using AI for this. I'm not going to use it at all in the game, but I am using it for, hey, show me a simple how to do something in a project. Got that. multiple object. Yes, we'll add the network. Fine. Enemy. Let's prefab the enemy. Projectile. Right, let's get the projectile script. Scripts. Projectile. I'm going to rename this just to match the sample I've got. I'm going to also clean this up a bit because some of it is horrific. And it doesn't work. Immediate errors. Great. Why we don't trust AI, because it can't even build as a simple MVP. Network health equals other dot. Why are you using health? If health is not equals null. Okay, so the AI is trying to check for a network health which doesn't exist. So we're going to do if other dot try get component enemy movement or other, hang on, there is no argument given that corresponds to the required parameter component of try get. What? Oh, I need to give it an out. Out enemy movement. Out enemy movement. Even though I'm not going to use it, we're going to do the same thing for other dot try get component player. Out is play. I could just use get component, I guess. Yeah, I don't need. I'm not going to use the output. I'm going to toggle monitors for a minute because I'm kind of focused here for the moment. Because all I really care about is does it exist. So just get component will be fine. So if we are if we're basically if we're an enemy or a player, do a thing, which is where we're going to do network object dot despawn. We're not going to check for health. We're just going to assume. Just going to assume like it's fine. We don't have extra health. We just shoot anything that gets shot. It dies. Right, network projectile. Aim that. Projectile. And we'll add that to the projectile. Do we want to add a network object? Yes. Network projectile, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Lifetime damage. Don't need a damage value because it's just if we hit. Reload. So we'll reopen that. Damage not relevant. Because I'm trying to build a simple MVP to test the networking. I don't care what the damage is. It's not relevant. This is where if I was actually building something with AI, I would have given it some shit for the fact that I asked it to build me an MVP and it built me an incomplete MVP. So we've got a projectile, we've got an enemy, we've got a projectile. Player. Enemy. Oh, hang on. Okay, I need to do some inheritance here. Great. Character. Character, enemy, player. Right, so we've got character. Basically, I'm going to put the firing stuff in character. Network. Work. Behavior. Why are you no autocomplete? Hello, autocomplete, wakey wakey. Network. There we go. We can figure it out. So, projectile. Hang on, no. Serialize field. Serialize field. Game. We are network projectile. Projectile prefab. I'll delete all that for the moment. And the rest I'm going to hard code. So we'll float fire interval float next fire time. We go public override void on network on. We do next fire time equals time.time plus next fire time. We'll fire interval equals 1.0 f or 2 seconds, I guess. We will use update. We'll do if is server return and then we'll do oh hang on, no, we want to trigger this. This is firing, so we want to trigger this locally and then send it to the server. So I'm going to run out of time. I have an appointment to get to, so hopefully we can get through this quickly. So we're going to do if time is greater than next fire time. We'll do less than return and then next fire time plus equals delta to equals time plus fire interval. My god, the autocomplete has got dumb. Right, so then it's going to do RPC dot send to dot server. and then we are void RPC request fire. And this is pull the AI up again. Fire weapon. Okay, let me drop this in rather than just rewriting it all. This method is reach instantiate. Why are you unhappy? Cannot implicitly convert type network projectile. Oh, of course. Game object. Do we need projectile speed? I guess. So float projectile speed equals 10.0f. Okay, so even though that's super basic, that's our minimum, right? So in here, we're going to do request fire RPC. Wait. This method reached the server, blah, blah, blah. One projectile. What about ownership? Transform dot position and transform dot forward. Times 2. So it'll appear. Oh, hang on, wrong place. Plus transform dot forward. So it'll move it. So it'll fire it from one unit in front. So a character so this is all characters, right? So if I do character and I go to enemy and go character and player, go character, the require component for network object can go here. We can ditch the visual scripting requirement. We can single line that. It's just an early exit. Now that should just instantiate projectiles on a loop once we've assigned the prefab. So let's go to prefabs, layer, projectile, enemy, I haven't put the on yet, so enemy, projectile. The projectile needs a rigid body. We have to have it one body. Check the list. Network for netcode bar. Basic server authoritative, blah blah blah. When removing network.despawn, blah blah blah. This netcode, okay. Not included the fact that we need network transform, but I'm pretty sure we do transform. Because the server gets the kick to the. Think about this. Rigid body, projectile.get component, and then give it some velocity. And wait, that's not only on the server. That'll run. Let's see what we get. First game. Now, player inherits. Should be looping and creating projectiles. It is not. Why is it not? Get component renderer. Character, player. Next fire time is on network despawn. Time. I feel like that should be. Are we maybe just destroying and creating immediately? Debug.log. Destroying projectile. Just in case that it's being destroyed before I can see it. I'd have thought I'd at least have caught a flash in the hierarchy at some point, but maybe not. I didn't set it to its trigger. I think. Projectile. Trigger. Layer has a collider. Collider. Okay. Host. Okay, it's not firing. Player creates from character. Private void update. Void update. Okay. Here's where we need protected virtual void update and protected override void update. And we want you to run base.update. And for the enemy, we don't care. We'll just delete everything for the moment. Okay. We are firing the projectile. Works. Right? And it has a lifetime. So let's get the other player. Put a body on the ground. So we see it roll. Post. Code. Join. Maybe the balls are starting. Oh wait, the projectiles is a trigger. It's not a collider, so it doesn't act collision. But it was set to on trigger enter. That's fine. Fine, we don't care. Projectile doesn't matter. Easier to spot. You need the transform. So projectile, give it a color, material. A network transform. Love to experiment with that a bit as well. Game. Code. Join game. Okay. That function. Look at this. Oh, hang on. Are we going to end up with an infinite list? No, they're all being cleaned up. They're all being cleaned up. Right, so the way this differs for a start is we are on collision. So private void on collision enter. And we do if is server. If, or rather, if not is server, return. And if we do collision dot game object dot, can we just get component directly off the collision? No, it has to be the game object. I was wondering, you know, sometimes you get shortcuts. Dot game object. Hang on, no. Get component. We're essentially going to be this, but we're going to replace other with collision.gameObject. That way I can get rid of that. I'll get rid of the message, we don't need it. And I'll change the projectile to a collider. That way it can roll. I just want to be able to see it. So this is being fired by a local call that then gets sent to the server, and then the server actually does the firing. I get in the way. I don't think I actually programmed any death. Fine. Right. Now this is the bit that I'm essentially already have working. Have another look because that's a bold statement. A bold statement. Post game. Copy joint code. Only the cert. Right, so it is spawning them incorrectly. Only server can spawn network objects. So now we beg the question, where have I gone wrong? It's in the initial spawning. So let's look in the player. Oh, it's in character on this. This is simplified because I'm not calling it on the weapon. Maybe what I should have done. So let's go to... I'm accidentally already in the same place. So player... that's on trigger enter, on network despawn, on, so they're fine. On score change pickup layers, that's fine. Did I just subscribe to it in the weapon? Yeah, so the weapon gets the character controller. And the weapon does the notify fire weapon perform. Fire. Where's that actually triggered from? Character.cs. If not is owner return. Right, so I'm doing the firing here. I'm not gating that at all. Because we just, everybody fire. Go for it. Okay. But it immediately just invokes the remote procedure call. The weapon.fire. Maybe I should make that the RPC? Let's copy that over. Let's copy that. I'm going back and forth. Spawn projectile, request fire RPC. Let's just put them side by side so I don't have to keep going back and forth. Because there are differences in these. And the difference is we directly spawn the projectile rather than calling the weapon. Do we make this the RPC? Public void. Hang on, let's do RPC. Let's just copy it. RPC send to server. Void request fire RPC. and that's request via RPC. And then weapon.fire then just becomes, this feels wrong. I'm gonna delete the RPC. I'm gonna leave the name. The name doesn't matter. I just want the sequencing and test it, and then the character. If we're not the owner, return. Hang on. Yeah. Oh, that's it. That's weird with the network transfer being a little bit ahead. Okay, and here's the problem I was talking about before. Let me full screen this a little bit. So the server's in charge of the position. If I'm running forward look, it's actually firing from behind me because I'm not giving it. I'm telling it to fire from the position, just the position on the character, and I'm not giving it the explicit position on the server. Sorry, on the client. So it's using the slightly behind position. Then, of course, we are dealing with collision mechanics and the delay. But I mean, that's progress. That works. Okay. So fire weapon. Can I just make that? I'm trying to sort of wrap my head around why a character can why it works when I put it here, but it doesn't work when I put it here. I know it's not a network object, but I'm just trying to get a better understanding of where down the hierarchy different things matter. Right, and again, so that is no longer a flight center server. I've just kicked it down to the actual method on the weapon. Because I might just have to. I could make a property on the weapon to access its position, and then just make all the firing on the. That I hate that so much. Game. Okay. And I'm getting errors. And that doesn't work. Okay. Only a server can spawn network objects. So this, the RPC send to server doesn't work if it's on a mono behavior. Or doesn't seem to work if it's on a mono behavior. Let me make that a network behavior, at which point it's going to complain that it's not a network object. But I don't care. It can do as it's told. Unity netcode RPC method must end with an RPC suffix. Okay. RPC. So the suffix matters. Okay. I think it's going to complain now that there's no network object on the weapon. It doesn't contain a definition for fire. RPC. Trying to think how to better structure this because, like, if I can't put the network object on a sub object and it can only be on the root object, that means all of the logic has to be on the player. And that sounds like a really bad idea to me. I don't want to accept that I just put it on the player. That feels like the wrong way. Failed to start network. I'm gonna have to go soon because of my appointment, but I really want to get this working, or at least get a good idea of why it's not working so I can implement it quickly. The idea that you can't have a network object within a network object feels very wrong to me. Right screen, yes, I'm on. Clear, clear, play. Join. Okay. Making it a network object made it slightly happier. So, kill that. And I'm going to move this back to where it was before. Because I removed that. I've just realised my mistake was I followed AI advice to remove the network object. But that's on me. That's on me. As the only intelligent brain in that equation, that's on me. When I was knocking up the MVP, I asked it about the like nesting them, and it said no. If you do that, everything will go crazy. Interestingly, the way it's set up at the moment, the cooldown management is local. This isn't a competitive game, so that's not a problem. But if I add a competitive mode to this, it would become a problem. You know, liable for cheating. Right, player 2. Right, let's see how we. I mean, we're still a little behind. But by providing them. Oh, and I've gone off the level. Okay. We're a little behind, but not as drastically. Next thing is while moving a spine. Hang on, let's just double check that I have both because my guess is it's not going to be a problem on the host. I mean, the fact that we have fire control that applies to. Right, so that is firing from pretty much dead on where it should. Whereas the client is. Let's just what happened. A little MVP. And this is local machine, right? So this is as synced up as you get. Okay, so it is a little behind. Let's see if we get the same thing on here. Getting the is owner mixed up. Okay, that let's move. They spawn behind where player is on client. They bounce weirdly off walls, turning around before they get there. So I think our next thing is to look through like lag compensation settings, projectile, bullet. There's going to be some, I'm sure there's some. Looked through them before, but Ole Legacy Lip. If the user uses its own copy of the player's muzzle transform several frames behind separately, projectile's rigid body is active on client. Clients can predict collisions differently and then be corrected by the server, making it appear to bounce a turn before using default network transform is server authoritative and correlates remote movement. Network rigid bodies intend to keep the authority aligned with the associated network transform. So projectile physics on the server. So remove rigid body, I guess. Do not make the client projectile rigid body non-kinematic else. Oh, this is fun. This is some fun extra stuff. This is definitely some fun. I'm gonna have to deal with this when deployment because it's gonna get into some interesting things. So distance server player projectile instantiate requested projectile network component network. So network transforms. I'm gonna just mess with the. I'm gonna change the legacy stuff. See what we get with the game object contains a rigid body, no network rigid body. Add a network. Auto update kinematic state. Auto set kinematic state on. Let's just see what happens. I mean, they give us this nice error message that's really obvious. You need to add something, right? And I think AI is giving me out of date. Not that it's totally wrong, but as a duplicate global object. Right. Close everything. Reopen. Reopen, please. I can definitely see why with this, why a lot of multiplayer games struggle with network performance. Like all the ways I can think of to just knock this together easily, I don't want to do them because I'm like that would be horrific for or just terribly maintainable. Just like my first idea is just get the player to do all the firing. Just make the weapon data only. That kind of breaks the whole point of having classes. Like The whole point of having classes is you encapsulate functionality inside the class. If you're going to just remove that, then it's not a class anymore. Right. Okay. Okay. That is way better. Way better. And all I did is slap on the network rigid body and update the interpolation. I can see that little bit of a delay. There's probably some smarter lag compensation I want to put on here as well. But that's already way better. Have a quick look at what. You know what? I actually don't really need to do rotation because it doesn't matter. Let's just not. We also don't need to do, so let's not. Priority mode. Tick. Use unreliable delta. Local space. Local space or world space. Use half float precision values. Delta position stating Returnian synchronization. So max the higher the value, the smoother, but can result in lost data points. A quick direct. Lower the value, the more accurate and precise. Result in a slight stutter due to latency. Right. So calculate time. So we're 1 second divided by the tick rate 0.0. Right. So I could actually I could get them. I could in the script fetch the max interpolation time. Or I'm thinking way ahead into 0. I'm just going 0.02. That's insanely low. About there has to be a better way to close and reopen Unity. This is very annoying. And 0.02, I'm basically telling it to be like maximum like 1 per, like essentially send the data every physics tick, which is just really going to saturate the network. I'm not going to leave this. What I'm going to do is eventually I'll add a. I'm going to turn it back down to the low precision. I might change it to double the precision. What this looks like. What I'll do is I'll write a script later that when we fire, we check what the latency between clients is, and then add some lag compensation. So when we say fire this direction or fire this position, we'll update that based on their direction of. Potentially, you would have those edge cases where you change direction and that if you change direction at the moment you fire, you end up with it being more out. I don't like the option of just saturate the network though. I wonder if just with the design of this game, I can change it so that the firing is done locally. Because with the design of this game, like if the firing was done locally, and the detection of when an enemy has been hit is done locally, that's probably fine. Right. That's still behind. Interesting that based on bounces. Okay, let's try this. Okay, we're still controlling the wrong player. That's fine. Okay, we're going to stop that. I'm going to undo that setting because it's probably going to make things very laggy. I don't want to saturate the network. So 0.1. Position interpretation. I think that's probably just going to be the best I can get for now. Unless I change the authority mode, but no. No. And this is why, like, online multiplayers don't generally use projectile physics, I guess. When you think about most of your multiplayer games, when you're shooting, anytime you're using projectiles, it's stuff that travels slowly. So at best, like a grenade launcher shot. If you're having fast traveling things, it's a raycast, and the projectile is entirely cosmetic because it doesn't really matter if the cosmetic's slightly off. Or rather, it matters less. I'm sure there's other ways I can calculate this, but that's that fixed, right? So, projectiles now network enabled. And at that point, it's time for me to go to my appointment. So, I have to return. Well, that's progress. I'm going to implement the enemy spawning example. This was the bit that was actually way more complicated. So I think that really helps. The enemy spawning is almost identical to the 3 different templates I've pulled up. The only difference I've got with that is I've got the enemy spawners where I'm taking the position from, but mostly they're just to hold a position in the world. It wouldn't really be that big a deal if I did that spawner from the enemy room spawner rather than the enemy spawner itself. Kind of maybe overdid that a bit. Right, anyway, we'll be back tomorrow morning, guys. I have another appointment first thing, a little bit late tomorrow. But I will be back tomorrow, and I was going to say I'm going to do 9 to 5 this week and not keep overdoing the hours, but I'm kind of determined that tomorrow I'll have working network. I want it to be playable. I want it just the single player element, like getting the single player bit of this where I could just walk through the rooms now and shoot different enemies. That's quite a small job now. I just need to rebalance the enemies and actually lay the map out and put the boolean on whichever one the exit door is. But it's the synchronizing bits across the network that's kind of funny. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later. Bye bye.